FSPN, the most trusted name in fake news. I am Frankie from Flatbush. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. It is high, it is far, it is Wednesday, December the 24th, 2025, Christmas Eve. Hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. As we here on FSPN talk about the New York Jets, the media, and anything else old Frankie wants to. So happy holidays, Merry Christmas. We got a ticker over here. We got a switcher over there. We also got a docket. If we turn it on, Frankie Show docket right there. Wednesday, December the 24th, 2025. Media Watch. Now, AG, our head coach, Aaron Glenn, had his media day yesterday, I guess, so that the coaches could have had theirs today, Wednesday. So that way everybody has a day off on Christmas. Kind of makes sense. But yesterday, AG told the media that Justin Fields is going on IR. So that ends his season. It also clears up a roster spot. So I was expecting a roster move today, and we did not get one. Now, they did not apparently put him on IR just yet because, as we'll see with the injuries, he is still listed on the injury report. When you go on IR, they take you off the injury report because you're out. No need to be updated on a daily basis for people who are out. So we did not get an IR. He did not get placed officially on IR yet, and we did not get a replacement on the roster, which could happen tomorrow, I guess, or at some point, maybe later today. You would think they would have taken care of that, even if it was just putting Hendon Hooker on the roster or somebody from the practice squad. But as far as we know right now, they have not done that. So very interesting. Now, Glenn would not say if Fields would be back next year. Somebody asked him the question, what do you think about Fields next year? However, the way he laughed and his demeanor in answering the question made me think he is a goner, even though it's kind of annoying how much the media wants him out of here, Fields. Now, remember, Fields told Brian Costello to take a flying leap, which was correct. When he got benched, he moved to number 2. Remember, Costello stalked him at his locker when he's not supposed to be there. And Fields was like, well, I'm going in for treatment. I don't have time for questions right now. Even though they had requested him to speak to the media, Fields had already told them no. So Costello goes and stalks him at his locker. Very unprofessional, in my opinion. And so now, once you do that, though, once you deny one member of the media, they all attack you. They're all going to aim their media rifles right at you to assassinate your character, to make sure none of the fans ever want to see your ass again. And so that's what's going on with Justin Fields. Because now you're seeing tweets by people like Dick Chimney saying, he's gone, forget about him. And also, oh, look at all the dead cap. That's Dick Chimney's latest way to freak out Jet fans. And Frankie's here to tell you, no need to worry about the cap situation. We have a great cap situation. The dead cap doesn't matter. These are things that happen when you take a chance on certain things and it doesn't work out. You got to take a little dead cap sometimes. It's not a problem. We can afford anyone we want to afford in free agency. It's not a problem at all. But so that's what's going on with Fields. And it does seem like he will not be here next year, though. And though, in my opinion, he could be. He's a serviceable backup. Here's what the Jets could do. And Muji so far has been smart ever since he got his whole staff in there. He's been making good moves. What if we paid down 75% of Fields' salary, got it to about $2.5 million, and then made a trade? Wouldn't the Arizona Cardinals like Justin Fields for a backup? Wouldn't maybe, I don't know, the Washington Commanders? Either they're going to lose Marcus Mariota, probably because Mariota is going to try to get a starting, or at least compete for a starting job somewhere. How about the Green Bay Packers? They need a backup to Jordan Love. Malik Willis is probably going to try for a starting job somewhere, compete for one. So they're probably losing him. Wouldn't they like? Now, that's a bunch of teams, and if there's multiple teams that Fields could fit at the right price, and the 10 is too much probably for their blood, we'll just pay down the money. Why? Because then we can make a trade. What if we paid it down? He's making 2.5, and we say to Arizona, hey, look, flip us a 7th-round pick. Would you rather have a backup quarterback, the quality of Justin Fields, at $2.5 million? Or would you rather have a 7th-round pick? And meanwhile, if we are hell-bent on getting rid of him, which I think we could keep him personally, I don't see why he can't be a backup. But if we don't want him here, we don't, whatever it is, it's over. I don't see why with the pay down, you couldn't get a 7th or maybe even a 6th. I mean, Justin Fields is not a piece of garbage. He's not a starter. We know that. But as a backup, that's valuable. I mean, what are the Arizona Cardinals going to do? Go with Jacoby Brissett? Even if they go with Jacoby Brissett and can't unload Kyler, wouldn't they want to have Justin Fields on the roster? Okay, maybe not. Well, what about the Packers? They got Love. They got Willis now. That's a good situation. But Willis is going to want a starting job next year. And he may find one very easily, depending on if and how he plays the rest of this season. By the way, he's been very, very good since he got to the Packers. So limited sample size, but still. So, so wouldn't they like him at 2.5? And at 10, they're probably like, no, thank you. But 2.5 for Justin Fields as a backup? Now you're starting to look at something that makes sense. And then we would do that because we need as many draft picks as we can get. Let's be honest. We need to stock the roster, and 7th-rounders are good because it's like getting a UDFA, but you can guarantee that you get them. People that you're really, fringe roster people. But for us, those people are going to make the roster this year. It's the edge of the roster is going to need to be filled by UDFAs and 7th-round picks. So I don't know. Everybody seems to think he's just going to get released. I'm not so sure. I still think he has some value, and if you just eat some money, which you got to eat anyway, maybe we eat the whole thing. Who cares? It's $10 million. What if you could get Justin Fields for free? We'll eat the whole dang thing just to get a pick. I mean, we need picks. We need, So we'll see what Muji does, but I think that could work. I think he'd add value, some kind of value. He's just not a starter. He's not a complete bum. I mean, so anyway, we also learned that Mason Taylor may not play this week. So that's also not great news. Wanted to kind of see Mason Taylor get some reps. But on the other hand, Stone Smart played pretty good in Garbaggio time last week. So if he continues to show he has some value, maybe we sign him for a vet minimum contract. That wouldn't be a bad idea either. They asked AG a question about Breece Hall and his yardage. Breece Hall needs about 46 more yards for a 1,000-yard season. And the answer that AG gave made it seem like he's going to be back. So far, all indications, all the tea leaf reading that I could do between the reporters and what Breece is posting. For example, when Ruckert got his contract, Breece quote tweeted it, and put out the fingers, like, hoping for a similar, the kind of thing, meaning he hopes the Jets re-sign him as well. Is how I interpreted that anyway. Some of these tweets, you got to be some sort of interpreter to get it right. But everything that I could tell, it seems Breece wants to come back, and we want him back, and it's probably just a matter of calibrating that amount correct, so that everybody's happy with it. And then to end up on our media watch here, Brian Costello, the man who stalked Justin Fields inappropriately at his locker, in my opinion, asked the trap question, the ramp-up trap question. I did a cutout video of, you posted it yesterday, where we talked about the ramp-up trap question. And the ramp-up trap question is where they do a long ramp-up. They set you up to kill you. Basically, it's a long setup with lots of, like, they lay all these predicates and assumptions into the question. You may not agree with 5 of the assumptions the questioner asks. It's tricky. They talked about the challenges of building a staff. And what they were trying to do was get AG to shit on someone on his staff in some kind of way, say, it was really difficult finding a defensive coordinator or something like they were trying to get him to reveal something that would reflect poorly on someone, even if it were Steve Wilks, But I thought that Glenn did a good job of navigating it and not doing that. So congratulations to AG, and shame on Brian Costello, one of the bigger shitheads in the media. All right, next on the next talking point, the Jets case. We've got some injuries, don't we? Yeah. So Wednesday injury report, as I mentioned, Justin Fields is on the injury report, which means he's not on the IR yet. A little strange, but we'll see about that. Kiko Mauigoa, DNP. Will McDonald, DNP. He has a knee. Mauigoa has a neck. Mason Taylor has a neck. So since he was DNP today and AG didn't sound confident, looking like it's trending toward Mason Taylor not playing. Jay Tufele has a foot. Tufele was taken off the field on a cart in the game last Sunday, so he's probably out, let's be honest. Maui Noah, Maui Goa, Maui Noga, Maui Ganoa. Hasn't been able. He's been in and out. It's been a kind of a rough year for him. He's had a game or two where he looked okay, but then you got Will McDonald with the knee. We'll see about that. But limited participants, Harrison Phillips with the knee. That would be a big blow to the run defense, of course. Tyrod Taylor with his knee. A lot of people with knees. And but would anticipate Tyrod being the backup. Seems like that's the way that's trending. And a full participation, good news, defensive end Eric Watts in the concussion protocol. If he clears that with no symptoms and he's a full participant tomorrow, then he should be, barring any late developments, he should be back. And Eric Watts, he's somebody that's fighting for a roster spot for next year, and this is not guaranteed. So he needs to make an impact and show that he deserves a 53-man spot, Eric Watts. So hopefully he can clear concussion and get in there. So that's it as far as injuries are concerned. Third on the list, NFL Roundup. In case you missed it, Jordan Poyer came out and said nobody understood Anthony Weaver's defense when he was on the Miami Dolphins, which was a surprising statement. And he had a lot of things to say, but it boiled down to a lot of guys on the team did not understand Anthony Weaver's defense. Now, that is in contradiction to everything you've heard in the media about Anthony Weaver. Everybody talks about this guy like he's a big, very good DC and a candidate for HC jobs. So very strange. But now that's sort of the second time we're hearing about this type of thing. And then it was with the Jets, also with Steve Wilks. A lot of the players were complaining, our players, that they were sort of like disagreeing with the defensive coordinator that, hey, maybe we shouldn't do that. This is not the greatest approach. Hey, that doesn't make any sense, Steve. Which, doesn't speak well of Steve Wilks, who got fired. Now, Weaver, I don't know, maybe Poyer's out of his mind. Who knows? Maybe Weaver, maybe nobody else will corroborate this. But I think it also speaks to the fact that these players today, they're not, you better be on your P's and Q's as a coordinator. If you're not, they're going to call you out, because these dudes, a lot of them, they love football and they are very connected with football. They'll be watching college games. They'll be watching other NFL games. They're watching tape. And they take this very seriously. It's not like the old days where you just did whatever the coach said. These days, the players, if you're not on it, the players are going to know. Now, I'm not saying that about Weaver. We don't know. This is just something Jordan Poyer said. But certainly for Wilks, it seems to ring true, because then he got fired. So, and he's the king of the one and dones. But I do think that was pre-planned by AG, that was, a likely scenario. Not that he was planning to fire him from the beginning, but he knew, hey, if this doesn't work out, I got a guy. Chris Harris, and we'll see how Chris Harris is treated in the offseason. If Harris gets the job with minimal other, interviewees, then my theory is correct that probably Glenn in the back of his mind knew that this was something that was likely to happen. It also validates this whole idea of the Saleh Albrecht KISS approach, the keep it simple, stupid approach. Now, I do think that approach has its flaws, but if you don't have the horses to run a modern defense, which needs to have disguise and complexity and all sorts of things, if you don't have those type of guys, then keep it simple. Much better to keep it simple. Everybody knows what they're doing, even though that can be very easily exploited by good offenses too, but that's better than people running around not knowing what to do. I mean, let's be honest. It also speaks to, I think, the intelligence of the players you need to have. Football intelligence needs to be at the front of the list of qualities you're looking for. You also need strength and violence and speed and all this stuff. But to me, these days, with the ubiquity of tape, everybody has tape. I have tape, you have tape, your grandmother has tape, everybody's got it. The minute you're doing something different, everybody knows it, and they start planning how to beat it. That being the case, you need flexibility, you need schematic fluidity, which we talked about on this channel in the summertime, and it never came to fruition with this defense. That's one of the problems, but you need to have that because you have to confuse these quarterbacks. You see what happens when the quarterbacks know exactly what you're doing. They're going to slice you up. Unless you just happen to have 11 elite players running around or just really good players all the way through, you're going to be in trouble because the good quarterbacks are going to find the weak spots, and that's what's been happening. Even a rookie like Tyler Shuck, sure, he's an old rookie, but nonetheless, he just carved us up like we were nothing. Carved us up like a Thanksgiving turkey. And so we need to have schematic fluidity and a lot of complexity and disguise in our next defense, whatever it is. DK Metcalf was suspended for 2 games for going into the stands and punching a fan. I would recommend to all NFL players not to do that. No matter what the guy's saying. Even I don't know what he was saying. DK says he was saying some stuff. The fan says, no, I was not. I was calling him by his government name, as they say. Who knows what the truth is, but either way, you should not go into the stands and have a physical altercation with the fans. The Colts, on the other hand, have announced that Old Man Rivers is going to start again, even though they have a very slim chance for the playoffs. They're not going to Riley Leonard. I mean, what does that say about Riley Leonard, that they just refuse to go to this guy, no matter what's happening? And it also brings to mind, if you remember Riley Leonard going on the quarterback show with John Gruden. And John Gruden was very impressed with Riley Leonard. Now, a lot of that is probably stage managed by the agent, and they're not going to let somebody go on there and have Gruden say, boy, you're a big dummy, or something like that. So I'm sure it's a bit of stage managing there. But in that show, he seemed very impressed by Riley Leonard. And then he was a late draft pick, and now he can't even get into a game when the other option is a 44-year-old grandpappy, Old Man Rivers, who looks okay at times. I mean, you could see the other thing about Phil Rivers is you can see that the quarterback position is mostly a brain position, right? And if you have that, even if your physical skills are severely deteriorated, as with Rivers, you can get pretty far with the brain game. And that's what I keep telling people. It's like if you took the physical tools of a Zach Wilson, say, and gave him the brain of Phil Rivers, say, you would have an all-time great player. Which just goes to show it's not the physical tools with somebody like Zach, and so many of these guys, they have the physical tools. It's all up here. It's so much up here. That's watching Phil Rivers the other night against the 49ers, and he was carving up Saleh. What does that say about Saleh? But, watching that, it just, I was like, man, so much of this position is all up here. And so few analysts actually talk about that, especially when these kids are coming out of college now. Sometimes it's hard to tell because it's such a big leap and it's so different from college to the pros. So a kid could look like they totally are in control, mastering everything, looking really solid in college, and then they get up here and they look like deer in the headlights. I mean, shoot, look at Brady Cook. I mean, this guy has so much experience in the SEC. You would think the least of his problems would be pocket presence and pocket awareness. Nope. My goodness. So bad the other day. So you just never know. All right. Any late breaking news in the NFL? Let's see. Shall we? Yeah, here's the injury report. Official injury report for the Jets. Yeah, and Fields is on it. So not on IR just yet for some reason. I don't know why that would be the case. NFL, no. And a lot of things are going on now where there's a lot of teams talking about quarterbacks that you didn't think about before, which is, people are talking about the Dolphins. People are talking about the frickin' Ravens needing a quarterback because of the contract situation with Mr. Lamar. And it's not a good contract situation. And he's just injured all the time. And now they're losing games. And so, I mean, this is going to be crazy. I did watch the Browns game, the Browns-Bills game. Shedeur Sanders, it seems to me you could work with that. Shedeur Sanders, my impression watching him in that game and other clips and things, the stats don't look great, but it looks like he's someone who's mastered the basics. Like he has the basics mastered. Quick game, screens, check downs, pass avoidance, pocket presence, even though he does get sacked a bit. The part of that's on their line, but decent pocket escapability, and then athleticism. His athleticism plays. People thought it didn't. It does. So he's got those things mastered, it seems like. But the thing he doesn't do is, at least so far, he's not threatening the field downfield in the middle of the field deep or any kind of outside the numbers passing game. At least so far has not. So it looks like, but he's a rookie. So it's like this guy, it looks like he has something you can work with and build off of. And then they have Deshaun Watson coming back. What are they going to do with him? And then you have Dylan Gabriel. Why wouldn't they try some combo of Shedeur starting the season? If that doesn't work, then go to Watson, see if he can give you anything for all that money you paid him. You're just going to let him rot away on the bench or on IR or something? I mean, you paid this man so much money. You're not going to get any value out of that contract at all? And then you have Dylan Gabriel, if all else fails. And if everything fails, then okay, go get Arch Manning in 27. Go get Lenora Sellers. Go get whoever it turns out to be next year. But there's a lot of knowledgeable Cleveland fans who are like, no, it's got to be Mendoza. So we'll see. So that'll wrap it up. I'll say happy Merry Christmas tomorrow. Hope you all get all the presents that you're looking for. Or if you're giving the presents, I hope all the people you give them to enjoy their presents. Merry Christmas. And I'll probably be back on Friday. Well, we'll see how it goes. But if I don't see you, I'll see you when I see you.